Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Anti-Pharmacist podcast. It's a new year, right? And like I said, I have a lot of interviews slated for this year. One of such is what we are having today. So, with me here in the studio are my junior colleagues. They just finished their internships. You see, internship program is a 1 year training program for pharmacists that are newly inducted to be able to experience practice in various settings. Some do this in the hospital, others in community practice, some in regulatory bodies, just different aspects of pharmacy to be able to experience the real world practice of pharmacy. And now, these ones just finished their hospital pharmacy internship. And I want to sound it off them. I want to understand what they have been able to learn, their mindset, where their mind is at right now. You know that the jackpot thing now has come to stay, and healthcare professionals now have a choice to either stay in Nigeria or move on to other climes where they believe there are better opportunities. So I will be asking them questions about their experience, their honest opinions, about what they have seen in pharmacy practice so far, and future plans if they are willing to share. So join me, guys, to welcome my junior colleagues. I have from Promise, I have from Adeola, and from Abimbola. Welcome, guys, to the Anti-Pharmacist podcast. I'm very happy to have you.
Thank you
Thank
all
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you some questions about your experience during your internship up to now, and I'd like you to just tell me your mind, okay? So the first question is, what was internship like for you? Was it what you expected? What were the expectations about internship? Maybe from your senior colleagues when you were in school, and what was it for you now that you are finished?
Okay, thank you so much. Um, while I was in pharmacy school, when I interacted with some senior colleagues then that have done internship or some that are doing internship, they used to tell me that their pay is usually very okay and they are able to save a lot. So my expectations were that during my internship too, from the pay, I'll be able to save quite much. At least I should be able to save nothing less than 1 million from internship, but
Mhm.
reverse was the case during my internship because things are just so tough, the economy and all. So basically, it was like two contrasting things. Like it was not what I was expecting.
So your own Amadiola was based on money. You
Exactly.
were
Yeah.
ready to become a millionaire.
Yes.
What about
Yes. Yes.
Bimbo?
Well, mine too is like the same case. It's actually my first time of living independently without my parents sending me money or food stuff. Unlike when I was in school, at least they were still sending me stuff. And yeah, it was not rosy because saving was quite difficult. And at the same time, you have bills to pay. So that's when I realized that some things like toothpaste,
Hmm.
detergents, they actually matter in the house. And it has not been funny. The economy has not been helping at all. Coupled with the transport fare, everything is just crazy. But we were able to at least save a little, but not up to what I expected.
So for you, it was the independence,
Yeah.
experiencing life, governing yourself, not
Yes.
depending on anybody.
Yes.
What about from Promise? What was your own experience?
Also, my expectations by coming from internship is also about saving massively. Like I should be able to have like 1 million, like for my dollars. And I was actually planning to work myself, like get locum in this place. After work, go for locums and all these things. But my schedules were so tight that I have to go to work 8 to 4, and I have to be on calls too. So it was not that I don't have free times to myself like that to actually take all those locum jobs that I was planning to do. Also, I think there are some things that I expected as well, like to actually come out of my shell because in pharmacy school, I used to be a very shy person. I shy away from responsibilities and everything. But I think during this internship period, I was able to actually develop myself to at least to some extent.
That's a very good one. So you came out of your shell leadership wise, and you were expecting that you would have other sources of income,
Income,
but it
yeah.
wasn't like that. Maybe due to peculiarity of the place.
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible like that. I understand. During my own time, it was in a city anyway. It was in the University Teaching Hospital of my school. And then I was with my friends. We rented an apartment together, not very far from the hospital, even though we had an option of living in the hospital. But even at that, we just decided to rent outside, and it was a very good experience. One, because it was in a city, we did not take up local move, but we were still able to save well because of the economy. I understand you guys, the economy has become something else at this time. And there's little difference between what we were earning then and what we're earning now. And I know that after practice, of course, you have plans. You know that you are going to youth service, that you'll not be earning as much, and you still want to have that financial independence that at least you had this period. And you'll be planning for your life too, maybe with your future partner and all of that.
Exactly.
I understand, but it is what it is. That's Nigeria for you. But did you hear anything about the internship experience of your colleagues in other practice settings? Maybe this is only about pharmacy practice in the hospital. Did you hear from people in NAFDAC or in community practice? Do you think they had it better?
Yes, they had it better. Like that NAFDAC, I heard they just have 3 working days. And they have all the 4 days. They have more time to themselves and can actually explore other options and get money from that too.
Like I have a friend that was actually working 2 local jobs.
Apart from the
Yes, apart
internship.
from the internship.
Yes.
And then the city also gave him an advantage.
Yes.
So would you advise your junior colleagues if they ask you now, promise, do you think I should do internship in this so place? Would you advise them?
My advice for them would, if you want hospital setting, I think you need to seek advice from someone that has worked there before, because it's not all hospitals that have tight
Exactly.
schedule.
Exactly.
So you need to seek advice, at least what is the working schedule of this place like. If you are satisfied with it, then you can go ahead to apply.
Exactly. Just like from Abimbola said, I was interacting with one of my colleagues that was doing internship in one hospital like that too, and she said she runs nothing less than about 10 calls in a month. So I think we even have it easier here than that place, because how would you be running like 9, 10 calls in a month? Like I can't just think I don't think I can cope under such kind of stress. So here we have 5, 6 calls in a month, and there are some places which I believe that maybe because of the number of intensive which they took into the system, even if there are plenty number of calls, it would be on the lesser side of on the individual interns, because they would have to share it among themselves. So
True.
Like I have a friend who even said she comes to work 3 times a week.
And in the
Sometimes,
hospital?
yes, hospital, teaching hospital. Sometimes 2 times a week, depending on the unit, pharmacy unit where she's been posted to.
So research is very important.
Yes.
Before you go for it, don't just
Okay,
apply
don't just
blindly.
apply.
I think
Yes.
is that my own is that what does the person actually want? Like where do you want to practice? I think is a key thing that we need to actually realize before graduating. That where am I going? Where do I need to practice? Not roaming about. Okay, I want to go to academics this year. Next year I'm going to community. At least because before you can get to the peak of your career like that, it will take a while. So I feel you need to decide that where am I going? If you know that okay, my parents are rich, I have the capital, it's community practice I want. Just go to the community, do your internship. It will even add to your working experience. So you can just know how it operates and you can start up. If you know that okay, you are going to the hospital, do that. I think hospitals still give advantage. Like there are some hospitals that still give 3 months externship program to industrial settings. So it's just your choice. Like what do you want?
I actually get your point, but most people actually come out of school confused.
Like that's why I say you need to know. Like just decide, sit down.
Like most of us now, it's during this internship now we get to make up our mind that okay, I think this hospital practice is okay, or community or industrial.
Because most times
like that.
what you experience is different from what you heard.
Yes.
Do you
So
understand?
sometimes you need to experience it to actually say this is
True.
what I want to do.
Okay. In my own opinion, right? I believe that focus is a very good thing. Our lecturers usually tell us, even our senior colleagues after practice, know where you are going and stick to it so that you don't waste your time perambulating when your colleagues have gone ahead of you. You are now just starting. But at the same time, we must look at reality apart from ideas. Okay, I want to practice in the hospital. How many hospital practice jobs are available? You might have to branch to the community first. To at least find something to do before you get space in the hospital. Or you want to practice in the community, but you find out that the working environment is not good. It's toxic. You don't have time for yourself. You don't have time for anything. And the pay is not even sustainable. But you now found an opportunity in hospital which will pay you. You may decide that, let me go to the hospital for my own peace of mind, for my own mental health and all of that. So sometimes you may have something in mind, but the reality may change your mind at the end of the day. So that's one thing we should bear in mind, which leads me to my next question. What have you learned about pharmacy practice in this last 1 year? From your own experience, from what you have heard of, from your colleagues or senior, what have you learned about pharmacy practice? Is it in the way it's being practiced, in remuneration aspect, in balancing work and life and finances? What have you learned generally this 1 year?
For me personally, pharmacy practice in this past 1 year has been, I've gathered a pool of experiences like from pharmacy practice in this past 1 year, and some of those experiences include that, from status quo, like pharmacists, they are always known to be very hardworking and diligent with their work and all. But then we need to balance it with the financial aspect. Like the remuneration um is not
Commensurate with the
commensurate
work.
with the work that pharmacists are doing, unlike their other health professionals. Thank you. So I think there have to be something that has to be done about that, and I won't entirely blame it on maybe the government now. I'll blame it on the pharmacists themselves. I think it is from the nonchalant attitude from school. Like most lecturers in school, they don't encourage students to engage in
Politics.
political stuffs. And most lecturers, they usually try to cause students to withdraw from things like that. And that's what will
Yeah.
automatically translate to how they will act to when they are in the world. They shy away from talking, from expressing
Advocacy.
themselves, yes, from advocating for things that will benefit them. And I think that's what the other health professionals, that's where they have an edge over the pharmacy. They place themselves in strategic um, places in or of power, and that gives them an edge over pharmacists.
That's a very good point. What do you have to say about that, Bimbo from Promise? Do you agree with Adeola?
Yeah, he's actually right. He's right. There are some settings where I don't know how to put it. Like in some, especially hospital practice, you need to be political
Mm.
because because politics helps you to choose the right words when you find yourself in certain places, especially when you are making certain requests for your department. And that I think that's where medical doctors have an edge over us. They know how to do this thing, like it's their game. They are very good at it. Then I think the profession is also very, very versatile. And I think PCN should be more flexible with some of their rules so that you can practice like two or three aspects of pharmacy because the economy is not smiling at the moment. So you can't just ask someone to just stick to one aspect of pharmacy. And personally, that was what encouraged me to study pharmacy, the versatility of the profession. I feel like okay, you can be a lecturer, you can decide to be a hospital pharmacist. If you have your money, you can start up your own community pharmacy or even work as a local pharmacist somewhere. So the PCN should just try to please help us flex some of these rules because I think other professions have an advantage. I think as a doctor, you can work in the hospital and still own your own hospital, and nobody is going to arrest you for that. Nobody is going to fine you for that. So they need to do better, at least for the younger ones to be encouraged.
Very good point. Very good point. Fan Promise, what about
I
you?
think that is right. But looking at the perspective from the patient, they feel like if you're able to practice, if they say, okay, let's make it that pharmacists can practice in two places. The only one they can regulate is just one. They won't be able to regulate it if it's now two. Because you can say, okay, I'm doing hospital and community, but you can still have other things that you are doing with it. They feel like I feel they are from their point, the job opportunities that are mostly available for pharmacists now will not be there because the thing you can't be present in two places at a time. That's the thing. If you are taking hospital job, your community pharmacy will be there and there will be no pharmacist there.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, looking at it, there's satellite pharmacists, I get, but okay, let's say you are taking hospital job, you're in the A&E pharmacy, you've taken hospital job, you're in A&E pharmacy, you are working, there's an accident and emergency, you're going up and down, doing all those things, and you hold a community pharmacy outside. And they are like PCN has actually, let's say from that PCN has actually opened the way that you can practice in two places. You have a community pharmacy outside, and it's not compulsory for you to employ a pharmacist there because you're a pharmacist, there will be nobody there. So it will not be regulated like that. I feel that's their own perspective. That's why it's not done. But there are some pharmacy professions, like there are some areas that can be combined that they won't interfere with each other, like hospital and academics.
True.
It can be combined together. Even I feel industry and hospital can still be combined a
Very
bit.
well.
So that rule should just be like that. They should just they can
So
make
they'll
it
be
like that.
looking at specific areas that can go together instead of
Yes.
making it so that you can't do everything. Okay, if
Yes.
you want to practice in the hospital, you're allowed to teach, but that's all. If you want to practice in the industry, you're allowed to work in the hospital. That's all.
Yeah, like
Okay.
something like
If
that.
you want to practice in regulatory, you are allowed to own a pharmacy. But maybe you must have a superintendent pharmacist there. There must be pharmacists there at all times.
Yes.
So this rule should be made flexible, but should not make everything free.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Okay, well, my point now is that, sorry, as a superintendent, most times if you see vacancy for superintendent, you see crazy working hours. As a superintendent, you can't actually combine. So it's not going to favor a superintendent unless you are the owner of the pharmacy. But as a superintendent, when you see working hours of like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., what do you want to do again? Weekend 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. to even 10 p.m. So like I get like what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. It's actually a good point. I'm just saying, as a superintendent pharmacist now, it's not going to favor them. Like I'm not trying to counter your point. I'm just
But if you're a local pharmacist, it
Yes,
could.
yes.
You can finish from the hospital,
Yes.
say 4 p.m., go resume at your
But as
local
a
job
superintendent,
between 5 and 9. You still resume in your work by 8 in the
It should
morning
not
if
just
it pays
clash
you.
with your like because if we actually make it like that, the pharmacy will be different from a chemist because we are human beings. We
There will be
will
neglect in one area than the
yes,
other. I
yes.
get you. That's what they are trying to avoid. That's what you're saying. So you're looking at it from the PCN's
Yeah,
perspective.
yes.
But doctors are doing it,
very well.
and MDCN is there, and Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. They're also regulating it, but I'm sure that they have put some checks and balances as well to make sure that one area is not
It's not
suffering
lacking, yeah.
than the other. What we are advocating now, what Bimbo is saying is that they should not cancel it out totally. That once you are registered in one place, you can't work anywhere else. There are still places where your license will still work and you'll be useful in both places. Because pharmacists, as I know, we are underutilized.
Exactly.
Yes.
We are
We know a lot,
overtrained
exactly.
and underutilized.
We know a lot of things, yet you just focus on one
One
area.
area,
What's the
yeah.
essence of all those things that we have been taught in school? They become obsolete after some time. But if you work in the hospital now, if you're lucky to work in a hospital that is attached to a university, why can't you be a lecturer in that
Lecturer in
university?
university,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
But they will be arguing that since you are working in the hospital, your license can
can't
only
be.
work in one
You
place,
can't
which
be
should
that.
not be. There are reps that are not using their license.
Yes.
They could own community pharmacies, but they will say conflict of interest. Yet their times are their own, as long as they are meeting their target. What makes them not able to own community practice? So these are the things that PCN should look into, how to utilize pharmacists better, so that even sources of income will increase. It will not be just that. Pharmacy is lucrative. That was the first thing I heard about pharmacy.
Yes.
Like pharmacy is lucrative.
Pharmacy can make
Even
you rich.
before I went to search and know the meaning of that lucrative.
That was what made me change my mind about becoming a doctor, because I just felt like pharmacy is way more versatile than
Yes,
Exactly.
being a doctor.
But you now get to practice and
And
find
then
yourself restricted.
Just one aspect.
Personally, in pharmacy, I developed interests while I was being trained in pharmacy school. It was not as if I had this flair for pharmacy that made me to come into pharmacy practice. And basically, what enticed me about the profession was the financial
Because in
aspect of
all
it.
honesty,
Exactly.
why do we work? To make money, to be relevant in society, to make
provide for your
impact.
family and all.
And if you don't have this money, sometimes it's difficult to even make that
Impact,
impact.
exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So you should get remuneration for your efforts.
Yes, it should be
Something commensurate to your
commensurate.
efforts,
Yes.
so that you even be encouraged to do more. Yes, so you can't be in the healthcare sector having little time for yourself at the end of the day, having little to show for it. People will be asking,
Exactly.
why are you
Why are you
working?
working?
Why
Why
you
did you go
pharmacist?
through all those stress in pharmacy school just to, end up complaining, not having money?
And then getting used.
And the thing is that people expect a lot from us. Like, yeah,
Mm.
pharmacist, you
Pharmacist,
should have
exactly.
money.
You don't know that it
Because
doesn't
that's how
translate.
people actually see it from the versatile point. Like, this one you can
Yeah.
be a
Yes.
hospital
And I
pharmacist, you
think
can own
our
your own community
healthcare
pharmacy.
professional colleagues to see it from
See,
that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
You doctors, you're a
Yeah.
pharmacist
I
now.
have
You
a
are,
doctor friend that's always saying pharmacists are
you
like
are
moving
rich
bag
now.
of money. That
Exactly.
he sees us as bag of money.
I even have a resident that
Yeah.
was telling me that you're a pharmacist, you're a rich person. I said, you don't know anything. You actually do not know. You don't know what is going
You're
on.
being incapacitated by
That rule
Yeah.
has to be made flexible. Yes. If possible, let them match, places
Yeah,
together. That
together.
if you are working here, you can also
also
work
work
here.
here.
Not beyond here, but it's not be only this place. We know they are
Exactly.
trying to protect the profession and the integrity,
Yes.
but they can still make it flexible so that it's a win-win for both
Situation,
the
yeah.
pharmacist and the council.
Yeah.
That's very good. So my next question is, what is the plan going forward? Japa is a thing now. Everybody, once you are done, even some people, they will not wait to do a youth service. They are already planning to leave. To Japa or not to Japa? And if it's to Japa, what are your plans for that place? Is it to go and practice, to go and further, or what? So let me hear your view. Who wants to go first?
Let me go first.
Okay.
Personally, Japa is not my thing at all. It's not my thing. If at all, I would be Japaing. Let me use that word now. It will be strictly for maybe educational purposes. Maybe I want to further my academics. I want to do my master's. I want to go for my PhD outside the country. Then once I'm done, I'm coming back home. And besides, I'm the type that likes to stay with my family. I already have my own family, so I'm the type that likes to stay with my family. And although you might argue that, okay, fine, why don't you go with your family over there? I don't like leaving my people and staying with foreigners, like living with foreigners. No, I don't.
So you
like
don't
it.
believe that the grass is greener on the
No,
other
no. I
side?
don't believe in all those saying that
Yeah,
the
it's
grass is
greener.
greener on the other side. They have to work for their money over there
You're a
too.
patriotic
Yeah,
Nigerian.
so-
But
then-
there is
then-
working economy for
Yes,
it.
like you're
there is
getting
a
what
society.
imagine as a superintendent here, you're working 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekends, you're working like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Then you're getting 200,000 after everything. You're not actually getting.
But there you're
what-
getting your money. Like looking
It's not the
okay,
same.
in my own perspective, Japa would have been it if it's actually more easier for pharmacists to do to Japa. But from what I learned, it's not that
very
easy.
difficult, yeah.
It's not that easy for pharmacists to Japa. I
Unlike
might be
other
wrong,
professions.
unlike other healthcare professionals. Like I might be wrong, but from what I have learned so far, I heard it's not that easy for pharmacists to Japa. There are a lot of things that should be done. So Japa would have been a thing for me. But for now,
because of that difficulty.
yeah, for now, I might still try and pursue it. But for now, I'd just like to venture into hospital practice and maybe tech.
Okay, so that hospital practice, was it influenced by your internship experience, or you have had it in mind since?
I have had it in mind since.
And this one has not discouraged you?
Okay, I'm just looking at reality. Because I really do not have any money to start off my community pharmacy. I'm actually an advocate of clinical pharmacist. I like being a clinical pharmacist. And basically, there are two places in which I can practice clinical pharmacy. Okay, let me say three. Academics, I don't like academics at all. Hospital and community pharmacy. I don't have money to own my community pharmacy right now.
And you're not ready to work for
And I'm
someone.
not ready to work for someone aside being a local pharmacist.
Okay, so the hospital
is just the
best option
for me.
Okay. So Fambimbo, you have not told me your own percent about Japan or not.
Okay, well, Japa is a thing for me. It is. But before we find the money, at least my plan is to work with an NGO. So people keep saying working with an NGO, you don't have job security, anything can happen, blah blah blah. I feel it depends on the NGO you're actually working with. If you go for all these NGOs that are just starting, then the job security issue can be there. And if you ask me the reason for going to NGOs, because they pay better, and then they don't overuse them. Though they make you travel from place to place, but it's sponsored and it helps you meet other people, helps you see the world, and then you go for seminars and they keep building you. Though it may be just one aspect of practice. Let's say if the NGO is if it's like EQs now that provide arts, then it's just HIV and AIDS. But then if you're lucky enough to find some NGOs that actually is not just HIV, they also touch other diseases, then you build yourself more especially by going for the seminars. But for me, Japa is a thing because I think I've lost hope in Nigeria. I've always been hoping that Nigeria will get better. Nigeria will get better, but from the look of things, I don't think Nigeria is going to get better anytime soon.
So there's no hope for young professionals, especially pharmacists.
Seriously,
I think the best option is just to leave.
unless you have your money to start your own community pharmacy. Just if you have your money to start your own community pharmacy, there is no point leaving. But if you know you don't have the money to start your own community pharmacy, it's better. If you see a means of living, please just go.
Okay.
Just go.
I like the fact that you mentioned NGO because that's one aspect of pharmacy that most pharmacists do not even look into. Public health pharmacy.
Yeah.
And pharmacists have a lot to do in that aspect.
Yeah.
You know, going into the communities, providing health information, drugs, and all of that. But when we think of pharmacy, we think of community, hospital, maybe academia, even industry. Most people do not go to that area.
Yeah.
But looking at your view on the NGO, it's actually a good thing. It opens you up to the world, to various diseases, to their management. You could go to supply chain, you could go to vaccine. So it's a good one. And it opens you up to Japa, like you said.
Yes.
You can leave, go to different countries for seminars and still come back to Nigeria. So it's a good option for anybody who's looking at going outside Nigeria and still practicing as a pharmacist with little wala. But you know that NGO job, they don't come easy too.
Job security.
That's what they say, job security. But then if you know what you're doing, it's usually contract, right?
Yes.
They contract you, they can renew your contract.
Exactly.
If you make enough contacts, connections
Yes.
during that time, you can move from one NGO to the other. It's just like these repping jobs.
Yes.
They are private owned. There's no job security. But then when you finish from a multinational, like our colleagues that were unfortunate to have the multinationals leave Nigeria, Sanofi and the rest, most of them now they have jobs because they are leaving one multinational with experience for another one. Do you understand? So there's nothing guaranteed. Even if you work in the community pharmacy, you can't say you have job security. Even in the federal government, you just have to put in your best and hope for the best. So if you let that one deter you that you don't have job security, you may not actually do what you actually want.
Okay. It's
Yes.
also an option I can, I plan to, but I'm just being a little skeptical. Whichever comes first, but definitely not academics.
And you might find yourself this. That's the thing with life.
My parents are actually lecturers of both of them, but I've never seen myself
Just like
lecturing.
The thing is, I have a flair for teaching. Teaching is my thing. Like it's something I have passion for. But the remuneration then is so discouraging to me the fact that you have to finish school, do your masters, do your PhD before you can even at least get an offer that is okay in the lecturing field.
That's why PCN flexibility will help you.
And also that the fact that you have to keep on reading and reading and reading, publishing books.
They believe that if you love academics, you must love reading.
All those things, yeah.
You must keep updating yourself because you are teaching people.
Yeah.
And the healthcare system, everything is changing every day. As a pharmacist, you're a lifelong learner.
Exactly.
8-star pharmacist, you're a teacher, you're a lifelong learner, you are this, you are. So you must keep learning, even if you are not in academics. That's the truth about pharmacy. Drugs are coming out every day. Things are changing. Drugs are being repurposed. You must update yourself. So if you love teaching, it's a sacrifice you must make. But like Pharmacist rightly said, that flexibility will be helpful for you to be a lecturer and maybe work in an affiliated institution that is independent of that school and being paid for that, it will help. Because at the end of the day, if passion is not fueled right with the right resources, you'll be frustrated.
Yes.
You transfer the frustration to your students. You become a bad lecturer. You will be unhappy. So if the resources are not there for you to follow your passion, it will become frustration. That was why I was saying idealism is different from reality. While in school, I used to hate anything community pharmacy. Like, I cannot go there. I don't want. If it's not academics or hospital pharmacy, I'm not doing. But I was in community practice for over 4 years because that was what was available. Exactly. And after a while, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was making impacts there before the hospital pharmacy that I wanted now came in. So we must look at reality. You may have something in your mind, but if it's not there yet, do not close off your mind that until this one comes, I'm not doing anything else. You'll be wasting your time and you will not make any progress. That experience you've had may help you in your next job. So don't close the door that I'm not doing anything if it's not this. If a good opportunity comes and you know that it's a learning curve for you, take it. From there, you can grow into another one. So that's my own experience and that's my advice.
And also during the course of the internship, I've had opportunities to meet with pharmacists in other fields and all, and from their experiences, I've been able to learn that even if I want to go for all these NGO offers, like they so much cherish the fact that maybe you are someone that have volunteered for different things that are pharmacy related or things that are related to their uh, core values or
their mission,
exactly their mission and vision. So when you are the type that have volunteered and you include that in your resume, like it tends to give you better chances of getting of landing an offer with all these NGOs. And just like Bimbola has said, NGO they pay well. That's one thing I have learned about them. They pay well. Although you work for your money. Those that have seen, you work for your money, but they pay well. I think they even pay in foreign currencies, so they pay well. And at least from the experiences I've had from senior colleagues and all that have friends working at NGO firms and all, they said even after working for like 3 years, 4 years in NGO, you can have enough capital to even start up your community pharmacy or even travel out of the country. Like you can have enough capital to do that while doing other things.
You know, those NGOs have sponsorships.
Yes.
Not government related.
Yes.
And they are usually international bodies.
Yes.
The likes of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, WHO, UNESCO, and all of that. So they have access to those things. But they have KPIs that must be met. That's why you must work for your money. Do you understand?
Yes.
That brings me to Farm Promise saying tech. What aspect of tech do you
Am I
think you go
interested
to? And how do you think tech marries pharmacy practice in this day and age?
Thank you very much. Tech actually marries pharmacy in this day and age. I'm actually looking forward to making like an app, something like that. You can actually access healthcare there. But basically, all this app that we have doesn't have pharmacist interventions there. So incorporating that into it, I think I can actually learn that by learning UI UX design and all these web developments. Those are the things I need to know. So from that tech, I can actually venture into public health, so like something like that.
That's a
So
very good
that's
one.
what I'm
We were
interested
talking about NGO. Tech now is a mainstay in NGOs.
Yes.
Because you need big data, you need all these things, you need that information, and you need a way to be able to showcase it to people. You cannot work in NGO now without knowing some major tech things like data analysis.
Data analysis. Thank you. That
Yes,
was
you
what I
need
was
that.
just
So you
about to
cannot
chip
just
in.
say you want to go to NGO. What will you be doing there? All the information you are gathering on the field.
How
You
will
need
you manage
something
them? How
to
will you
manage
marry them
them
together
exactly
and
to be able to predict
predict?
things,
Yes.
to be able to bring out a population analysis and all of that for publication. So you need tech
Yes,
in that
data
aspect, but
science,
not in that
data
aspect
analysis.
alone. In all aspects of pharmacy practice now, tech is very important.
Yes.
Even in the community, you can take data of your patients. You can look at their improvement over time from the kind of medications they are taking. You can use that to publish something. You are working in public health. Any aspect of pharmacy you are, it's actually a public health thing. Even if you're in the academia, you can develop a medicine through all these projects that people do. That's why academia and industry should work hand in hand. You have colleagues in the industry. You take it there. This is what we have realized from this. Can we make it on a large scale? Then you can call your counterparts in hospital, in NGO, do you get, in industry and in other aspects, even in regulatory bodies. You come together, you make this thing large scale, you do clinical trials in hospital, and you have a product. Of course, it's not easy, you need money. But once the product is viable, your NGOs will help you. They have partners abroad that will bring the money. The industry, they have the equipment to produce massively. In the hospital, you involve ethical committees, you do clinical trials, and once it's done, you produce it, you sell it in the community, you get your pharmacovigilance data as well. That is what pharmacy practice should come to in this day and age. It should be a collaborative effort, not I'm only practicing in the hospital and that's all. So these are the things that I want us to be thinking about when we go out to practice. Of course, money is important, but it's not just about the money. The impact we make from this practice is very important. That's why those societies outside there, they are better than us, and we now want to go there. So anywhere we go, that's the mindset I want us to have, even in NGOs. Oh, this neglected tropical disease. Let's look at how we can get vaccine for it. Let's look at how we can help people so that children do not die from malaria. How do we do it? Gather the data, do your work well. From there, you get money. If you provide value, money will follow. That is the truth of the matter. So, having said that, now I want to ask, I think this is the last question. So, what do you think needs improvement in pharmacy schools from your little experience in practice? What did you expect that they would have told you when you were in school and you now got there and say, and they did not tell me this thing? If they had told me, it would have made it better for me. What do you think that thing or those things are?
Thank you for that question. For me, what I would have preferred or what I would have loved my lecturers to have imparted in me while I was in school is that not just telling me pharmacy is versatile or you can work
Okay.
in various fields, but make me see those
The
niches
reality.
that are underexplored that I can capitalize on and make impact on. It is during this internship, like from interacting with some of the senior colleagues and all, that I was now my it was like an eye opener. Like the interaction I was having with them was an eye opener for me to now see niches that are very, how do I put it now,
Underexplored.
underexplored as
Like,
pharmacists. For instance, like in school, we'll be like, pharmacognosy is very useless. What do I need pharmacognosy for? No, it is not. Like from a recent interaction I had with one of the senior colleagues, she was telling me that the knowledge of pharmacognosy can help me in going into plantation of medicinal plants. There are people that they even collect all these medicinal plants from. Some of them are not even pharmacists. They don't even have knowledge of pharmacognosy. So me transferring the knowledge of pharmacognosy into having a plantation, maybe take for instance now, let's say maybe a particular drug is being made from maybe from the extract of a particular plant. For instance, now let's say, okay, Nicotiana tabacum, for instance, maybe there's a particular drug that needs an extract of Nicotiana tabacum. As a pharmacist, with the knowledge of pharmacognosy and all, I can go into that aspect and have my own plantation and all, and my license will even cover me for it, rather than for someone who is not a pharmacist to get a pharmacist of a license to plant such kind of things and all. And there are various things in which she talked about, and I was like, oh my god, why was I not aware of this when I was in school? Like, it made me see pharmacy practice as, I don't know, that it is not really that, like, we are not spreading our wings.
Yeah.
We are not spreading our wings
it's
enough.
been
Exactly,
narrowed
it's been
down.
narrowed
Even
down.
as
No,
versatile as it is.
exactly. In mentally, we are narrowing down the profession. There are various places to explore. I mean, Promise was talking about tech the other time. There is one of our colleague that is into tech stuff. He does all this graphics design, motion design, and all. Now, all these industries, they usually employ people that are not even pharmacists to design to brand their products and all, the color matching and everything and all. Now, if a pharmacist is into that, it's an added advantage. He already knows they don't need to. All those people that are into graphic design, for instance, they might have to train them that, okay, this is the API. It should not be, the font should not be too bold so that it will not cover the. But as pharmacists, you should know already that, okay, there is the brand name, there is the API. The API will be under it. Then they don't need to teach us pharmacists that, okay, this is tablet. It's different from caplet. Caplet is different from capsule. Capsule is different. They don't need to teach you all that. You already have, exactly. You already have all that knowledge. So there is no tendency for you to make all those silly mistakes. So there are various niches that
So
we
that's
are
a
yet
cue
to.
for you that
Exactly.
if you go into academia due to your love for teaching, you
Yes.
should make your students know that
Exactly.
there are other things. You should think outside the box. It's not
Exactly.
just about the product alone. There are other
Exactly.
things that you can do. Do you know that there are pharmacists that are in tech today? There is this lady pharmacist from Abimbola Debakin that does great things in tech. She has this platform called Advantage Africa, it's a tech hub for pharmacists. There's also another pharmacist from Adebayo Alunge. He has this app called RX All that helps to detect counterfeit medication. The likes of Pharma Gateway, Pharmacino, Panobi. Those are people in tech. Even Pharma Hub, the platform created by Pharm Austin, for pharmacists to share ideas, to solve cases together, to share resources. There are also some young pharmacists that ventured into mental health. They make bulletins about mental health. They have created apps about them, many of them like that. Outside that, I have this LinkedIn pharmacist friend who does compounding. Only compounding. She's a compounding pharmacist. You need a drug compounded for your ward, for your child, for your elderly one, just take it to her, take the formula, and she will compound for you. Imagine that. And she doesn't work in the hospital, she has her own practice for that, and she's making a cool money. Imagine that. There is also our veteran pharmacist, Ifeanyi Atweyi. He started the Pharma News, that brings news information about pharmacy practice in Nigeria and beyond. I also know a pharmacist from Timothy with his team. They do this magazine, Healthy Niger, following suit in the shoes of the likes of Ifeanyi Atweyi. They also even developed an app at Air which helps people to remember to take their medication. These are people who think outside the box. Pharmacists are very versatile. We have a lot to offer. So we should not corner ourselves and put ourselves in a tight spot, not exploring other opportunities, other ways in which we can help people. We should not be just about the product or even about the patient alone. There are other avenues to make our profession impactful. And I am hoping that this PharmD thing that they are doing, we will not just be, it's patient centered. Now let's leave drug, let's focus on patients again. Instead of expanding, do you get? Expanding the scope that it's patient centered. Now you can be a researcher as a pharmacist. You can research in the hospital, you can do clinical trials. You not be just let's go to the world and see what our drugs are doing. I hope that the scope of pharmacy will continue to expand. So I believe that PCN is doing their best. They are looking at best practices globally too. But even we, as practitioners, as pharmacists, once we venture into something, it can be an eye-opener for others to follow suit. It should not be a bandwagon thing that, everybody's going to tech, let's run into tech now, even though you don't know what you are doing there. But when we sit critically and think that this is what will benefit, at the end of the day, we should think about making impact. That will align our goals. And once we are making impact, money will follow. That's the truth of the matter. So our industries, they are trying their best, but they should collaborate with researchers such that we are not just producing drugs that have been discovered since 1980. What about new ones? Like Adeola said, you can have a facility, grow medicinal plants, have a research plant next to it where you take those extracts, work with them, work with people in academia. Before you know it, take it to the industry, do clinical trials. All these things are possible, but mindset is where it starts. When you know that you can do it, then you tell your junior colleagues too. I'm sure that you have people that are looking up to you, that your mentees. You're in pharmacy school. This was what I did not know then. So, Fambimbo, have you answered the question? What do you think needs improvement in pharmacy from your experience, in pharmacy school till now?
We need to, our lecturers need to change the way students have always been seeing pharmacy practice as versatile. Good and fine, it's versatile, yes, but we have places that we can actually explore, just like this tech thing that everybody have been talking about, and they did not give us that kind of orientation. For example, biostatistics. I believe we all did biostatistics in school. If we actually did it in depth, like the way we are supposed to, I'm not supposed to graduate from school now to start looking for how to study data analysis again. If the biostatistics, if we had done it like the way we're supposed to, probably make it more than a semester, like 2 sessions or 3, depending on how broad the whole data analysis of a thing is. I think they need to improve in that aspect.
Let me just chip in something there. I think there is this thing that we need to also work on as pharmacists. To the upcoming pharmacists, we need to let them know that research is very, very important. The research is very, very important because I have senior colleagues and junior colleagues while I was in school that they are so much into this research of a thing that they even they were given Diana Awards, one of the highest awards you can have in the whole world. Like they were given Diana Award because of their contribution to the research field. So I think it's all about our mentality as students because most pharmacy students will believe that we cannot include any other thing. Like we cannot aside pharmacy. Let's just be study your book, go for classes, do your test, do your exam, pass, graduate with a distinction. Pharmacy is not a classified course. Fine, if you have a distinction, it can help you in your career path. Maybe you want to go for your masters and all. But then when you engage in some other things, like I said earlier about the political stuff, that we have this apathy towards politics. There are pharmacy students that all through their school they don't even know what student representative council is. They, exactly, not all. Yes, some they're all about the book, and it shouldn't be so. That will affect when we eventually get into the world, when we are having interactions with our other healthcare professionals. So that's all I have to say.
Feel they've said it all. It's just the political aspect too that I want us to venture more into. Let us be known. Let us be just bookworms and everything. Let us be known
Let our voices
politically.
be heard.
Let our voices be heard in school. Like I shouldn't be the one saying this because I was actually very far from politics in school. But it's not something that is very good. And we should not be all about book. We should venture into researches. Like there's one of my junior colleague. He started researching since 200 level, and I thank God for my school now. We have a lot of students that are into research, which is a good thing. And they are being recognized by international bodies. So it's already carving a niche for them. Like they already know where to venture into after graduating and all. So we just need to diversify. Like pharmacy school is not that hard. Like leave it as it comes.
Leave everything as
And
it
I
is.
think they need to also should I say change the curriculum. Like add one or two things.
Like
Let it not just be this, okay, good and fine. We have PharmD now coming in. Yes. PharmD is more like clinical practice. We need something that is also, should I say, diving into the tech aspects of pharmacy. We did informatics in school. Informatics was not just one semester. Informatics is something that we should have done for like 2 sessions, and then it will help us more. Informatics and biostatistics is something that we should have done more. I think that one semester was not enough to cover everything that we need to know. Like now, I'm not supposed to be thinking of how to further in something like data analytics after doing biostatistics and informatics in school. I think they need to look into that aspect too. It's not just the clinical aspect they need to focus on right now.
I think the issue is the curriculum. Yes,
Mm.
they believe that the course pharmacy is already choked up, that there are too many things to learn. But there are some that are similar that can be joined
Yes,
together
combined, yes.
so that there will be space for other things. Because the world is evolving. You guys are even lucky. During our time, there's nothing like all this tech. We did not even hear about it. It was all about product. Nothing like informatics for us. It's all about either you're a clinical pharmacist, you are in the community. Even academia, there was no focus on it. So it is evolving. That's why I'm saying that this family that they are doing now, they better create way to make it more versatile.
I think the thing is that we actually in my school we did biotechnology and informatics more than a semester. More than, but I think we need to be more practical about it. Not
That's
just
right.
the
We're
not
just
just the
theoretical,
theoretical
like, we
aspect.
need more.
Yeah.
And then you cannot increase it to 6 years for just PharmD alone. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like the pharmacy course is not 6 years because of PharmD, but it should not be because of PharmD. At least we should have other things attached to it.
This pharmacognosy of a thing, it is actually a
It's the
gold
most, I think it's the
mine.
most neglected part of
It's a
pharmacy
gold mine that
practice.
people are sleeping on.
Yes.
We were taken to this woman in Ilorin then during our time
Yes.
that was producing all these herbal products in a standardized way.
Yes, we are taking them
Certified by NAFDAC and all of that. Do you know how much you'll be making? Will that one be complaining about not having money? It is when you go to a place that's already saturated that you'll be, struggling
You'll
with
be
other
struggling
people to get space.
Exactly.
But when you go to a place where it's only you are the trailblazer, you will get the advantage of monopoly at first. So we should think outside the box. And anytime we have opportunity to talk to younger pharmacists, don't limit yourself to only anything drug related. Think of how you can even provide services to people. That was what brought out this my podcast. I was working in the community and I saw the misinformation that was happening every day. People just come into the pharmacy, they ask some questions that are ridiculous. Some people just do some things. I just see that this thing, people must hear about it. People must know how this should be done. People must hear about birth control. They must know about antimicrobial resistance. You can't just walk into a pharmacy and say, give me one sachet of amoxicillin. And I'll be asking you, what do you want to use it for? You think I'm intruding. Me, that I'm a pharmacist, that have been trained, not just to dispense medications, but as a steward of that drug I'm giving you. I'm not asking you what do you want. You'll be looking at me like, what's your business? But if you are aware that I'm entering a pharmacy, I'm meeting a pharmacist, when I'm asking you, you'll be free to talk and I'll be able to advise you because people need to know of different things. There are misinformations everywhere. People that know nothing about drug, they'll come online because they have a tripod because they have
And
a
ring
light,
lights.
and they will just start saying things.
An Android phone.
And they'll be misinforming the public. Me that I am trained as a pharmacist because they did not teach me in school digital pharmacy. I will now sit in that community pharmacy. Only people that come will know what I want to tell them.
Yeah.
It should not be. That was what brought about this podcast. So that is what we should think about in pharmacy practice. You can have your own way of passing your information. You can decide to be a public health advocate. Go from school to school. Talk to children, about public health, about career, and all of that. That is what I want us to think about. And as you go, I know that you have learned a thing or two during your internship, which will inform your practice. And I pray that where you are going for your youth service as well, you make impact, because youth service is a time to serve your country, right? You can decide to form a club, health advocacy club, and all of this, be the president. You can make impact. So it's a time to build on your experience here and to make impact in the world. So I want to thank you guys for coming on Anti-Pharmacist Podcast. I was really blown away by your answers. I love the conversation that we had.
Thank you for having us.
And that is all I have for you on today's episode, guys. Do not forget to follow and like this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. You can leave your reviews as well. 5 stars won't be bad, guys. Also, please continue to share the podcast to young pharmacists, to other people as well, because these are very important information that we share here. If you are new on this podcast, if this is your first time of listening to an episode of Anti-Pharmacist Podcast, I say a very big welcome to the Anti-Pharmacist Podcast. You're going to love it here, all right? There are a lot of interesting episodes, over 60 of them on this podcast. You can access them on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Amazon Music, on Castbox, on YouTube Music, and even on YouTube itself. Also, we have registered a presence on TikTok, so please check out Anti-Pharmacist Podcast on there as well. Follow us on Instagram at Anti-Pharmacist Podcast, on Facebook at Anti-Pharmacist Podcast, on X, Farm Podcaster. You can also send in your suggestions via mail, your comments, your questions. I'll be sure to attend to them. I also accept requests for collaborations. If our visions align, if you are a health podcaster or a creative of any kind, please reach out to me at antipharmacistpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sure that I will find something that we can do together that will mutually benefit us and our audience. On LinkedIn, follow me, Bimsala Jose. I share insights about health, about the podcast episodes, and other interesting content as well. You will not regret following this podcast, as it will help you live a healthier life in 2025. I'm here to provide you with the information you need about your health, about your medications. So stay tuned and stay glued to the Anti-Pharmacist Podcast. Our episodes air on Mondays and Fridays. Enjoy your weekend. Till next time, stay healthy and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.